The next presentation is probate court. Judge Burton.
Good afternoon. Yes,
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you better.
Would you like me to start over again?
Sure.
All right, because I assume you have Zoom on.
Yes, we do.
That's the wonderful thing that we have. We're glad to have it. I'm Freddie Burton. I serve as Chief Judge of the Wayne County Probate Court. I'm joined by April Maycock, who is our probate registrar, Wade, and also Kim Zawara, who is our budget manager. Madam Chair, members of the commission, staff here, and those who are in the audience, it's an absolute pleasure to come before you. Some might say, why would you want to come to budget hearings? When I was on the commission, I would sit here all day and I would wonder, when are these speakers going to shut up and sit down so we can go home? For me, it's a real pleasure and honor because I have something good to report. We've been coming to you year after year after year, telling you about all of our problems with financing our budget. And we continue to we always need more money. I think you get somebody who comes before you and say you don't need more money, then you ought to go check him out. Maybe see me and I can get him a transport order for evaluation. But we concur in the recommendation from the county executive's office concerning our budget going to the next fiscal year. We are making great progress with our behavioral health unit, which is an organization that we pulled together ourselves through the court, working with Judge Tim Kenny, working with, you remember Judge Mack, he's retired, but he's still very active with us, and also for the Center for Behavioral Health and Justice. So we can help people who are suffering from mental illness instead of simply coming into the court, having the case heard, we put them in the hospital as we've done in the past, and then they'd be released out into the street and this revolving door start all over again. What this behavioral health unit does, and we also, by the way, have a pilot project that I serve on. I'm the judge who hears now all of the mental health cases in Wayne County through the year, possibly beyond, somebody tells me, but I said through the year that we're gonna do this. So the commission has been critically important in supporting what we're doing, starting back in 2015 with the Stepping Up program. Led by the chair and by this body. I can even say that it led to us creating a Wayne County Jail mental health initiative designed to divert people from the jail who are nonviolent offenders, but also to help people get assistance for mental health treatment. So when they go into the hospital, they stabilize. Instead of just being released to the street, we have an assisted outpatient treatment plan through our behavioral health unit and the Detroit Wayne Integrated Health Network. We're working in lockstep with them along with the Center for Behavioral Health and Justice. So we're very, very excited about it. In fact, sitting in the back, who's very modest, is Tim Johnson. Tim gave us our name of the Wayne County Jail Mental Health Initiative. Thank you, Tim. And also the logo that we have. So he's been really involved along with the chair and all of you. And so I just want to say thank you very much for having us before you today. And we welcome any questions that you might have. That's why I bring the experts with me so they can answer the real hard questions. Anyone?
Thank you. You certainly made your mark last year when you showed us how well you were working, your staff was working the technology field, and we sent other people to you as one who could mentor them. So we appreciate you being here. I'm retiring, so this is my last one that last budget that I'm gonna chair or be part of. And so I'm gonna miss you all, but continue to do the good work. So lead off today, the questions will be from Commissioner Kinlock.
Good afternoon, Judge.
Good afternoon, Commissioner.
Yes, I seem to see you quite frequently. I mean, you're judge, but you, as you stated, work very closely with Detroit Wayne Integrated Health Network. You're over there all the time and have created an incredible relationship. And just hearing you communicate that to this committee is absolutely a great connection, a great relationship that you've built. Looking at the budget, you've requested, I'm looking at your FTEs, both from you, the elected official request, as well as the CEO recommendation.
Mhm.
And we've been having judges in the courts. Judge Kenny has come before this commission. And also I'm aware that all of the courts are having issues as far as clerks and filling these vacancies. I'm hearing that some judges are considering some creative ways of actually having some of the operations within their courtroom changing or addressing some of the operational deficiencies in their courtroom because of lack of having a clerk. Are you seeing these issues in the probate court that we're seeing over in, that we're hearing that are taking place over in the criminal court and civil court?
Ours is significantly different. We have Zoom in place, thanks to not only is she our probate registrar, but she's also our director of IT. That's April Maycock, who's sitting behind me. But the Supreme Court has really worked well with the judiciary all the way down in terms of making available opportunities to work remotely, to provide them with the equipment that's necessary to make work remotely. We give our employees the option of working remotely or coming to work. And we have a significant percent that want to come in. We have some judges who kind of come into the courthouse to offer testimony or to receive testimony, to make decisions. And we have judges who hear from home. I have an outfitted office at my house that used to be an old, not used space. And I got a computer on the desk, and I've got the ability to get on Zoom, and we use a virtual background so that I can handle cases with the flags and everything else that's in the background. And it's very useful. I think it's going to be something that's going to be with us for the immediate future and beyond. And I'm really excited about that. So we're working hard on trying to address issues like we have, as you can see from the material you have, we've got to fill vacancies, and it makes it very, very difficult. But I think that's something we're all experiencing, I would imagine, throughout the country. And we keep working hard on that particular issue. So I'm very pleased with where we are. As I indicated at the top of my comments, I think we're making great, great progress. We've got some issues, obviously, that we're trying to address, but I think we're making the progress that we need to keep you all happy and to keep the community happy. We are available to meet with people. In fact, part of what we've done is we started with the BHU training, providing training to police officers, providing training to hospitals. We're expanding so people understand what the probate court is about, not just that we hear cases and we'll see you later on. We're trying to, as Commissioner Kinlock, who by the way is very modest and not saying that he's on the board of the Detroit Wayne Integrated Health Network and plays a critical role in that process. But clearly we are trying to partner with as many people as we possibly can. The Wayne County Jail Mental Health Initiative, which Judge Kenny and I got started back in 2018, has over 80 partners, stakeholders from around the state and around the country, working with us so that we can address issues of behavioral health and to make sure we treat people more humanely rather than just use our judicial power to lock you up in jail or lock you up in a hospital. And so we're real excited about that. I appreciate the question and the opportunities to respond.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Baydun?
Sorry about that. Thank you again for being here to present Judge Burton. Can you touch a little bit on the process when attorneys submit applications for probate court, whether they need to liquidate a property? As a real estate broker, I have heard, and especially during the pandemic, that the process was taking a little bit long to approve cases so people can transfer properties or liquidate other assets of a deceased person. Can you give us like a quick update on that aspect of your operation, if you will?
I'd be happy to do that. I just want to make sure you don't fall asleep while I'm sharing it with you. Clearly, it's a process built by law. So if a person has passed away, there's an opportunity up to 45 days to file a petition for opening a probate estate. And say you get that thing filed. We schedule a hearing within 30 days of that date. The judge then hears the case. Notice, by the way, has to be given to all of the interested parties. That is, all the family members and those who may have an interest in the estate. We then have an opportunity to publish. When I appoint, or if the judge appoints a personal representative, that's the person who will be the manager of the estate once appointed. They have to qualify either by posting a bond. A bond is to protect the liquid assets of the estate. Let's just say in this particular example, $100,000 in liquid assets exist to the person who passed away. Then I may require the personal representative to qualify with a $100,000 surety bond so that if they do something wrong, we can get the funds back. Oftentimes when there aren't any assets, any liquid assets, we simply allow them to qualify with what we call an acceptance of appointment. Then they have to publish for creditors. Creditors have up to 4 months to file a claim against the estate. And let's just say that there is no claim. So at the end of the claims period, we may find that there's a dispute that exists between the heirs at law. And so that matter has to be litigated. How is that litigated? You file an actual complaint, or you file a petition, get it before the court, schedule it for hearing, and get an opportunity to give parties a chance to do discovery. They have a chance to file motions. They have a chance to go to mediation. I think you're probably starting to get the picture. There's so many safeguards in the law to make sure that people are getting their due process rights. And some people might say, well, you're going overboard. Maybe we're going overboard, but if you're the one who victimized, then you want to go overboard. You want to make sure that you are being treated appropriately and that your due process rights are not being compromised. So what I say to you, Commissioner, is please tell those that you're speaking with, all of you, be patient with us. We are working really hard. If you want someone to come out and explain to you a little bit more detail or spend time with you, I'll be happy to make arrangements to get that done. But it is a really wonderful question to ask. And as I indicated, I suspect there are at least several of you who are nodding out after having that wonderful lunch after hearing that explanation about the decedent's estates.
Thank you, Judge.
It's never dull to hear the process. We're here to learn and yours to educate. So the process is very good. I'm glad that you do have the tight controls that you have over especially property rights. As a young commissioner coming in, trying to help someone who didn't have a will and they had to appoint someone, you handled that case so well. And I learned from the start, never ever to be an attorney when I'm not. So I learned a lot during that process. But later on, I'll tell you what case that was.
Please do, please do.
But you handled that so very well. And I was very impressed with you right from the start. And I didn't even know who you were at the time. But that was really great.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Any other questions from members? Commissioner Baker McCormick.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Chief Judge,
Commissioner?
for being here today. Your hours of operation.
8 to 4:30.
Okay, and you're up and fully running and all of the departments.
Never stopped, even during the pandemic.
Okay,
But we're not open. You can file whatever you need to file via email or by just mail, just regular mail. You can file and get it before the court. It may take some time, but you will get it done. We will get it done.
okay, you can file in person or on.
We don't accept people coming in person typically.
Okay.
You just by email or by, what am I missing? Email or by Dropbox. Do we have, where is it located? Okay, So you drop it, we'll get it.
And as far as phone calls, is it a live person or?
No.
No, okay. Yeah, because someone asked me, well, how do I get in contact with a live person?
It's tough. I grant you that. I'm not going to shy away from that. If we had a way to do it, one of the ways that I envision with one of these vacancies that we have is to actually have somebody who actually can kind of sit in and handle these cases where people have lodged concerns or complaints. I think that's important for us to look at. And so we're trying to get that done. But what I would say our really biggest challenge is just the lack of personnel, the lack of human resources. And I've said it before, and I'm sure you've heard it many, many times. And it is a real challenge. The last time I was here, I think you raised a question about the minimum wage. And we were responsive to that. And we got that done. We had one person who was less than minimum wage, and that person is probably thanks to you, is no longer. We were able to get something negotiated. And so when we get issues that are raised, we try to respond to them and try to address them and make sure they get done. And when I say try, that means we're going to get it done.
My last question is in reference to succession planning. Are you thinking about that? Not in your
You're trying to get rid of my job?
Not in your position, but I think in all of our positions, we need to train the next person that's going to come behind us.
I'm sorry.
I was just asking.
I'll be happy to answer that.
Your overall department and departments, are they?
We have ongoing cross-training so that we have your primary duties and responsibilities. And let's say we have someone, I take my shop. I got 3 employees. And so let's say that my court clerk 2 is going to be on vacation. My court clerk 1 will take over those duties because we've trained her to handle that matter. And it goes right through the entire court in terms of making sure we have cross-training. So we have people who can step in and take care of the board.
Great job.
Thank you. Commissioner Martha G. Scott.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good afternoon, Judge Burton.
Good afternoon, Commissioner Scott. We go back a long way. I
Yes,
knew it
we-
when she was just 15 or 20 years old. So.
I'm only 21 now.
All right, there you go, there you go.
But anyway, I know with the pandemic and stuff, all that's going on, will you still go out in the community, say if I had a town hall meeting and invited you to come and talk about your issues?
You know I will come. When you call me, I will come. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you. Yes, indeed. Thank you.
That is so sweet. You call me, I'll come.
I will come.
I know you
Is that a
will.
line from a movie or something?
You know we love you, so hope you're feeling it. Any other questions, Commissioner Kinlock? You have a follow-up? Okay. They have instructions, Judge. If you want to talk, you have to turn your mic on.
Is it off?
It's on. No, I said the
Oh,
commissioners.
the commissioner.
Well, thank you very much. It seems like you have answered all the questions. Mr. Mark Abel, you have any more?
No, thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to offer kudos to Judge Burton. The analysis of the probate court is actually rather simple for us. And the responses are so telling of the way he runs the department. Is the staffing level adequate with the activities of the department? Please explain. The responses, the court believes that the current staffing levels are adequate to maintain services. I thought that was great. Provide list of vacant positions and its salaries associated. And the responses that you do anticipate that vacancies will result from separate employees will be filled as quickly as possible. We appreciate that. And provide list of full-time equivalent personnel, professional service contract employees, and the salaries and titles associated with each contract employee. The answer was none. So kudos, Judge.
Thank you very much. Anything else?
Thank you.
Well, it's been a pleasure. I always like to come home, and I call the commission home. For those of you who don't know, I served on the county commission 1,000 years ago. And boy, was it a lot of fun to have 14 contemporaries. And so I'm sure all of you are doing a great job. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you much. Debo?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next presentation will be by the Sheriff's Office.
And I see
Sheriff-
we have a
Sheriff
sheriff
Washington?
in town.
Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm sorry.
Good afternoon. Before you start, I'm going to give you the option of having your staff and you sit, or you can stand, whatever you would like.
I can stand here and I guess they can sit. You want to sit over here in case you ask some questions? Why don't you all sit over here?
That way they can speak into the microphone
Correct.
if you need to answer some questions.
Yes, ma'am.
There's also one seat there if anybody else needs one. There's 3 there and 1 back there. Okay. Good afternoon, Sheriff Washington.
Good afternoon.
Welcome.
Thank you. We're ready?
Yes, we are ready.
So the Sheriff's Office and our mission, I'd like to start with that. Our mission is Wayne County Sheriff's Office is committed to serving and protecting the public and providing quality law enforcement to all. We move to our Sheriff's Office divisions. It consists of the Executive Division, which is our internal affairs, internal controls, discipline, technology, budget and finance, personnel and payroll, procurement, grants, and special projects. It also consists of our court division, provide security for all courts, criminal, civil, juvenile, and friend of the court, civil service processes, and engage in friend of the court enforcement, civil felony, and warrants. Also, it comprises our court services administration, sheriffs, which includes sheriff sales, judicial sales, and mortgage foreclosure, service of process, and writ of execution. Sheriff's Office divisions also consist of our jail divisions. We operate 3 jail facilities, including but not limited to food service, security for medical and mental health operations, tether and training divisions. Also includes our police operations, park patrol, secondary road patrol, marine unit, municipal support enforcement unit, our CPL unit, our regional dispatch for jail and patrol units, and the Wayne County Community College District unit. Our sheriff's mandated services include the operation of the jails, internal affairs, internal controls, prisoner transportation, and training. Our mandated services also include our court security services, our park patrol, road patrol, and our marine unit. Sheriff's Office fiscal year 2023 budget caveats. Number 1, budget caveats. Number 1, the budget is predicated on full staffing in the jails. Based on current information, there will be 348 budgeted but unfulfilled police officer vacancies day 1 of the budget year. And you should know that these numbers are fluid when we talk about 348 budgeted but unfilled police officer positions and how that'll look on the vacancies will look on day 1. We have classes starting now, and we don't know who's leaving necessarily between then, so that number is subject to change. This represents over 42% of non-supervisory jail officers. Each vacancy is backfilled at an overtime rate. The jail population is a projection. Outside forces affect the size of the jail population. During COVID-19, our population declined. However, now it is creeping back up. Jail population is 1,405 and the tether population is 1,456. The sheriff's and the CEO's offices continue to meet on a monthly basis to develop and implement efficiencies in the operations for the sheriff's office, including but not limited to civilianizing positions and hiring of retired law enforcement staff in the courts, tether, and other areas. Continuing with the budget caveats, fiscal year 2023, the sheriff's office will make every effort to achieve revenue projections. However, it must be noted that the sheriff's office does not have unilateral control of what is actually generated. The sheriff's office will continue to work with the CEO's office and to obtain funding for priority capital equipment and procurement needs for the sheriff's office. Let's talk about the fiscal 2023 budget challenges. Challenges are the recruitment police officers and project consultants. $40,000 per year starting pay for the Wayne County Sheriff's Office, for a Wayne County Sheriff's officer or deputy. $42,000 per year starting pay for a Detroit police officer. And then $44,000 per year starting pay for a Macomb County officer. So you can see the challenge with recruiting as it relates to pay scales. We're definitely behind, one of the lowest in our area out of these three, and there's others. And that's a challenge when we talk about recruiting. When we talk about trying to get people into our agency. And we definitely would like to be on par with the others who are doing the work that we're doing, being the largest, actually, or one of the largest that are listed here, probably the second largest, but the least paid, the lowest paid. So that is a challenge when we talk about recruiting and then retention of staff and associated expenditure of overtime. For fiscal year 2022, police officer staff vacancies were 381. Attrition rate for fiscal year 2022, we hired 59 and we lost 57. So again, we go back to where that challenge is. 640 officers submitted FMLA leave time. Capital needs, our vehicles and our radio system, ongoing building repair and maintenance, copiers, dishwashers, washing machines, ballistic vests, and etc. These are challenges. So fiscal year 2022 update, capital projects update. We have a marine dock. An invitation for bid was posted for new marine dock on April 6, 2022. One vendor was awarded the contract, and the contract is in the approval process. The marine base, an invitation for bid, IFB, is completed. The invitation for bid will be posted in August of 2022. Our sheriff's fiscal year 22 initiatives, Internet Crime Unit. We reestablished the Internet Crime Unit to perform internet crime investigations and to identify internet predators and to keep Wayne County residents safe. The unit is staffed with 1 project consultant and 2 reserve officers. All have extensive experience in internet crimes. And we're doing that again with a project consultant and with reserve officers. We would really like to see that internet crimes unit, especially with all our children and people are in and out of schools and everyone's on the internet, our seniors. We'd really like to see that become a budgeted entity once again in the sheriff's office. So, but that is one of the initiatives that we started. We're able to get it done in a minimum way. I think we can do much better if we could look at getting that budgeted once again, as it was in the past. Our scout program, reestablished the sheriff's community organized urban team program to work with various block clubs, neighborhood watch groups, businesses, and citizens all overall. The scout program raises police presence and it helps crime and raises overall awareness in the areas of which we work and enhances the quality of life in the various Wayne County communities. The scout program is staffed with Wayne County Sheriff's officers, our reserve officers, as well as some of our full-time officers. That is an initiative that we're very proud of, and it works. The community loves it. Again, we're simply in various communities in Wayne County, waving the flag, letting people know that we're out here to assist those agencies who need our help, who call on our help regularly to deal with some quality of life issues that they may not be able to get to because they have to get to the major crimes that exist in their communities. And so we're doing that. We're able to get that done again with our reserve units and with our some of our full-time officers, but we'd like to even look at how we can get officers in there as well. We understand that the jails and the courts are our primary duty, and we have to staff that and get that done. But that's just one of the initiatives that the citizens of Wayne County all over look to us for. The agencies, the police agencies, and the leaders of various communities, they look for this Scout program. They call on us all the time, and we're happy to help them, and we're getting that done. Our Sheriff's Office fiscal year 2023 budget highlights of that. The staff budget highlights are the total CEO recommended, 1,065 full-time employees. Did I miss a page? I'm sorry. Trying to get done. I did miss that. So, and I do want to talk about this. Thank you, Director Hart. Our Citizens Academy, talking about 2022 initiatives. Establish the Citizens Academy, which aims to bring Wayne County residents together with representatives of the Wayne County Sheriff's Office to allow for our Citizens Academy volunteers a better understanding of the various operations of the Wayne County Sheriff's Office. An additional goal of the Citizens Academy is to garner better community relations and to better community relations with the Wayne County residents. The Wayne County Sheriff's Office is a very complex agency and runs multiple divisions, which includes but not limited to 3 jails, courts, the Marine Unit, and Road Patrol. So we were very happy that we started our first inaugural Citizens Academy just a few months ago. I couldn't believe how many people that I would run into when I came into the position of sheriff just didn't know what the sheriff's office does. You know, they see the police departments and those that answer runs and calls for service. They see a lot of that, but just didn't know what we do and what we do on a regular basis. And so I said to my staff, we needed to have a Citizens Academy where we just let citizens know exactly what it is that we do so they'd have a better understanding, and that would help them as they go forth knowing what their Wayne County Sheriff's Office does. And so we put that together, and actually we reached out to the commission to help us staff that initiative with leaders in their various areas where you all have a jurisdiction over, to get those leaders into our Citizens Academy. And we got some response with that, not as much as we wanted to have, but and we're going to do it again because it was a huge success. And we definitely want to make sure that we do that again this fall and get those into our Citizens Academy. So, and we wanted leaders of the community to start this, and we can even do that again. We need those that you all know who are leaders in your areas of responsibility. We want you to pick those and invite them to our Citizens Academy, because our thought is we would get the leaders of the community in, and then they would go out and get the next group of people in their community into our Citizens Academy, and then they become a part of us. There's some buy-in with the Wayne County Sheriff's Office, and they know what we do. And it's just a win-win for us with the community knowing what we're doing, and then a win-win for them because they know, we know who the leaders are, and we know who's really a part of our agency at that point. We like to say that they are. We give them some T-shirts and we give them some things that we appreciate, that says we appreciate them being a part of our Citizens Academy. We had a former commissioner, Emma Bell, no. Who did we have?
Edna Bell.
We had Edna Bell there. Edna Bell, as well as I know her. And she talked about how she had been in the county for a long time. And she even learned some things about what the Wayne County Sheriff's Office does. And so she was very appreciative of being there, very big advocate of what we did and what we're going to do in the future. So we just wanted to bring that to your attention, commissioners, that we want you all to be a part of it, not a part of it that you have to be a part of the Citizens Academy, but get us those leaders in your community into our academy. And we'll be doing it again this fall, and we'll be sending out some notices to you as well. And then we just recently started a satellite police station. It's a established satellite police station in collaboration with local police departments. The purpose of the station is to increase community policing and police visibility. The first satellite police station was opened on July 27, 2022 in the city of Dearborn. We are currently in conversations with Wayne County communities to open up more satellite police stations based on availability of free space. The stations are staffed with Wayne County Sheriff's Reserve police officers. So what we did with that was simply try to establish a satellite place where we could have some police presence, but not only police presence, to place some workstations when we're in the community. We started out in Dearborn because we were offered a space by one of the businesses there that service vehicles, and it's actually one of the places where we service our vehicles, who services our vehicles. And oftentimes our officers are sitting around waiting on vehicles to be repaired. And we thought, since they offered us a space, a little workstation, that would be great. And we would sit there and be a presence and be a facility of, if someone comes in, there's other civilian customers there waiting on vehicles to be repaired. If they wanted to have some conversation about anything police related, and we're sitting there, that we'd be able to do that. So they offered us a desk and a couple chairs and free space. And we still think it's a great idea. And we're looking to do that not only in Dearborn, but in Ecorse and Inkster and Romulus and River Rouge, or wherever we can continue to, wherever we're continuing to do work, and such as our Scout program, that we have a workstation in those communities. And while we're out doing work, we have a place to do our work, and people can come talk to us there as well. If there's places available that people want us to, the businesses want us to work out of their facilities, we're available to do that. It's free. It's one that we're doing in Dearborn. We're not looking to pay anybody. They offer this, and obviously we have to get memorandums of understandings and things like that, which we're working on through our counselor, David Melton, who's talking with the commission counselor, I believe, and we're going to, and we just want to get to a place where we have a good understanding, and it's not costing us anything, and it's not causing any liability on us to do this. And so we're excited about that as well, that this business would even offer that kind of facility free of charge, with no liability, to help us be a presence in the Dearborn community to start with. So we're doing that, and we're happy about that. A fiscal year 2023 budget highlights. Total CEO recommended 1,065 full-time employees. Total projected general fund, general purpose revenue, 126 million. Total other revenue, 45 million. And total projected revenue, $171 million. So that actually concludes my budget presentation. I just want to thank you for the opportunity to present this budget. I'd like to thank every commissioner and the honorable body, as well as the CEO's office, for working with me and my staff to identify funding for critical projects, such as the replacement of radios, the Marine dock, and the Marine base. So thank you for this time. And if there's any questions about any of this presentation, I'll be happy to answer, and my staff will as well.
Thank you, Sheriff Washington. As the Vice Chair of the Ways and Means, it gives me an honor and a pleasure to chair this portion of the budget hearing, to listen to one of my favorite departments in Wayne County. And allow me also to congratulate you on winning the election this past Tuesday.
Thank you so much.
And as a Dearborn resident and the Wayne County Commissioner for the city of Dearborn, I would like to thank you and Under Sheriff Mike Jafer for your leadership and for bringing the satellite office to the city of Dearborn. I think this is only going to enhance community involvement and public safety in the city of Dearborn. I would like to turn it over to Mark, and then we'll go around with the commissioners.
Thank you, Commissioner. Congratulations also, Sheriff Washington, on the election last Tuesday. Historically, the issues with the Wayne County Sheriff's Office has been dealing with compensation, work environment, work conditions. I think that with the opening of the new jail soon, that aspect of work conditions, we're not going to be in a 100-year-old jail anymore. Will greatly alleviate that concern. And based on your presentation, I'm noticing that the disparity between Wayne County compensation for a new recruit versus our neighboring counties has lessened. It used to be at one time where the differential was probably about $10,000.
Yeah.
Now it's down to $4,000. But it really kind of begs the question, because you're showing that we have 1,060. I'm hearing 1,065 total budgeted. Your write-up says 1,067, but that's close. And that 390 positions are unfilled. So that means that we have approximately 675 employees. If we were to increase everybody's by $4,000, that would cost us $2.7 million. And yet we're the unfilled positions at 390 is approximately $15 to $16 million that we're just paying in overtime. I would really look on a going forward basis, not necessarily with the approval of this budget, but through additional analysis to see if we can get invoking what our budget director had indicated, reducing the number of staffing levels, but using that to increase compensation in order to alleviate the overtime, because the overtime can really, in my opinion, affects the quality of life of our employees.
Yes.
The stress associated with always having to work overtime and the FMLA issue as a result of it.
Totally agree. I think it's unconscionable how much we have to work and even have to force people to work overtime. I don't like that one bit. So whatever it is that we need to do, that's why we talk to this body to say, if we could, the recruiting is an issue all over the country in policing. So we are fighting that alone. And then for optics purposes, and when people look at what we do pay, and if it's $2,000 more or whatever it is, for the other agencies of what they're paying their people look at that. And the optics means a lot to them, and they go to these other agencies. And so, and then the other part of law enforcement is you have to find those that want to work in a controlled environment, such as a jail. A lot of them want to work outside, want to work in the area of policing and fighting crime from the outside. So when you deal with, we talk about the things that we have cut even from the outside that we can't find, that we don't finance, and such as our internet crimes unit and things that our road patrol unit. There was a time when the numbers were much greater than what they are now, and because of budget cuts, we do the best we can. So we're fighting all of those challenges. And I think, if we can get people into our agency, and the first thing people want to know, young people want to know is, well, how much does it pay? So you say, well, we started you at 40,000, or they say, well, Detroit's starting us at 42,000. I'm gonna go over there. That's just what they do.
Again, that's as close as I've ever seen it. So
yeah, it is close. It's close, and we're doing the work to get people into our agency. As you can see, we had 59 so that we've hired, And we have a class going on now, and we have other classes that will be going on before the end of the year. So the number will increase, but then you're on the retention side of it. How do you keep people who are ready to go? And that's a challenge as well. We have some ideas and some thoughts, but we just have to come together. And there's various drop programs and things you can do to try to get people to stay longer. But now that when people after 30 years in law enforcement, they're just ready to do something else, if anything, you know?
Thank you, Sheriff. On another point, it's often been said that the jails represent one of the largest mental health facilities in the county and in the state.
Mhm.
I'm looking at your response number 15 to our question
Which page?
regarding residential outplacement program. And I'll read your response. It says, in fiscal 2022, the sheriff's office posted a new RFP, and we have entered into 3-year contracts with 4 residential treatment facilities to provide male and female inmates diagnosed with mental health disorders and or substance abuse with room and board, group therapy, individualized counseling, employment and housing assistance. Can you just elaborate a little bit on what the objectives are and the success so far that you've seen in coming to this?
Sure, I don't have that page, and I could do that, but I'm going to let my director, Samaya Harp, speak to that in detail because she has the notes for that.
Through the chair, we do receive a lot of reports from the Third Circuit Court to send people, to get people out of the jail and send them to residential treatment because they might have alcoholism or some other issues, mental issues. And we looked at the cost. It cost us $185 to house one inmate per day. To send that same person to residential treatment, it's costing us $50.50. So there's a lot of great savings. And plus the residential treatments do give a lot of services, whether it's group therapy, individuals therapy, food, room and board. They give them GED classes if they need to. They help them a lot. So things that we cannot provide for them at the jail, the residential treatment gives to them.
Well, very good.
I think Chief Dunlap wanted to add to that as well.
Thank you, Sheriff. Through the chair. Yeah, as Director Harp was sharing, the benefit to us is certainly with our short staffing, having people in the jail who are there because of their mental illness is just an extra burden on jail staff. And one of the things that we've found is, as you may know, misdemeanor type mental health inmates was costing this county to the tune of roughly $10 million a year. And certainly, I think we would all agree that jail is not a place for someone that is arrested for trespassing that has a mental health issue at the cost of $185 a day. And so by having these residential treatment contracts, it allows us better to manage that type of population so that they're better served outside of the jail at a huge savings to the county and the sheriff's office, but more importantly, as a benefit to the community, getting those individuals the help they need.
Thank you. And then my last question is, we are nearing completion of the Criminal Justice Center. We'll be moving into it, and I know that you're coordinating with the administration on exactly what a move is going to entail, the planning for it. I mean, can you give us a little bit of flavor on what you're doing to make sure that we'll be ready for that move?
Sure. So I'm going to, again, refer to Chief Dunlap, who is the lead of our new jail project, and he's been doing this for about 4 years now or so. And before I even came into the sheriff position as a sheriff. So he's intricately involved in that every day. So if he can, I'll let him.
So thanks again, Sheriff, and through the chair, and just to publicly thank the sheriff for allowing me the opportunity to maintain this responsibility. It's actually been sheriff since 2012 that I've been involved with this. And so I can tell you, we're cautiously optimistic under the current administration. We're very confident that this jail is going to be complete. We don't have any exact timelines on the move in. Our hope and prayer is as soon as possible, but not so soon that they don't have an opportunity to address all of the concerns. The latest that has been shared with us is the jail is on schedule for us to start making a transition from our current jails to the new facility sometime around this time next year, maybe a little before or maybe a little after.
Thank you. And thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll start with the Dean of our Wayne County Commission, Martha G. Scott, with the questions.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Sheriff,
Yes, ma'am.
I am so glad that you're going to still be around.
I am as well.
As the
Thank you
sheriff.
so much.
So congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. One of the programs that I am really interested in is the Scout program. I'm
Yes.
glad that it's starting up again. And because we have been trying to get it back into the budget. And so I am happy for that, for our community and that.
Thank you.
And while I was out campaigning, I found out that one of my, in my new area is one of the programs. It was a young man that was standing outside, and I went up to talk to him, and I said, "Are you one of the people that are working here for the campaign?" He says, "No, I got this ankle bracelet on." He said, "This is my residence here." And so I just started talking to him to kind of lift him up and stuff, and tell him that those dollars that we use here comes from our county budget and that. And so he was saying that he was so glad to be in this kind of housing rather than being in jail, you
Sure.
know. So that was the first time I had just ran into someone that was actually a part of. But I know all of the organizations that we're working with are excellent.
Yes.
And so I am really grateful for that. Of course, I encouraged him that whatever he did, to be very careful not to do it again.
Yes, for
Because
sure.
we don't need him here. We need him out in these jobs and stuff, you know. So he was just really kind and was glad that I stopped to talk to him and that, you know.
Good.
So
And thank
yeah.
you for doing that.
Yeah, yeah, oh, yeah, that's what we're here to do. We're here to help them so that they won't continue whatever they were doing, you know.
you so much.
And I know that Chief Dunlap has been working on this for some time, so, but thank you for all that you do also, sir. And can you just explain
Go ahead.
a little bit about that, what's it, the leave when your staff go on these, how it really works, where the FLMA leave
FMLA.
time,
Yes.
you got 640 officers that's doing that. So how does that work? Do they work part of the time and then on leave other times, or?
So when they're on FMLA, and there's various different forms of FMLA, I was trying to find the numbers, but nevertheless, it's just various different forms. Some on FMLA that says they can't work overtime. There's some on FMLA that says they can't do certain types of duties. Some FMLA says they can only work certain days even, and it's just a big challenge.
I'm sure it must be.
And all over, and I think it's a big county challenge, but it's definitely a challenge for us in the jails, especially since we're already short. And oftentimes, when we need people to work over, it's a challenge, because then they'll say, I'm on FMLA, or I'm using FMLA, because whatever the conditions of the FMLA, maybe it fits that when we're asking you to work overtime. And so it's just a challenge and it's not a lot we can do about it. You know, I don't want to say people abusing it, but who knows, but it's a challenge and it's simply nothing we can do about it.
Well, thank you so much. I hope we can come up with something,
Yeah, I've asked the questions over and over and I'm always told, you can't touch that. And it's a challenge.
Thank you, and I thank you and your department for all that you all do.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Scott. Commissioner Kinlock?
Good afternoon, Sheriff Washington, and
Good
it's
afternoon.
absolutely, I want to chime in. Great to have you here and great
Thank
to continue to serve with you. I know your commitment to the county
Yes.
goes back years from the police department
Yes,
all the way to helping kids and being a mentor in high school
Yes.
back at Radford. But what I want to ask, this is your budget, and you gave a great presentation of the budget overview. But what I want to ask was, as far as identifying any sort of needs as far as your operations and addressing some of the issues that you may have seen occur over this past year. Even coming out of COVID, of course, we know that all the departments are dealing with the ability to hire individuals and to retain staff. But we know that because your staff have come before this commission to talk about in the past the issue as it relates to tethers and the processing of individuals onto tethers within, through the courts and through your office, actually placing them on tether. So does this budget address any responses to that, whether it's equipment or whether it's from personnel needs or what sort of improvement or additions and resources are you can address that issue?
Yeah, so our tether unit, we have more than usual and more than we've had in the past on tether. And we've been able to manage that program with what we have. But our staffing definitely needs improvement in our tether unit. And we like to, definitely put more people there based on the number of people that we have out on tether. And again, that comes to staffing. We often have to take even some of those out of our tether unit to mandate our mandated duty to the jail to make sure that we're staffing the jail properly. So where we're doing a good job with what we have with tether, with the small amount of people that we have, we want to build that back up even to where it should be based on, again, on the number of people that we have in tether. But we have to run the jails. We have to staff those jails properly. And so that is what I like to talk about when we talk about tether and how we're doing and how it's getting done. It is getting done, but it can be improved based on getting the amount of people in our tether unit that we need to watch over 1,400 people or so, whatever the numbers are currently, and the changes often that are out on tether. So hopefully we can get that fixed. And again, all of that comes with staffing. But I am proud to say that we are doing a good job with what we have.
So this budget represents adequate funding for like you mentioned, the core services and responsibilities of the sheriff department.
Yes, it's just
Okay.
about getting the staffing there. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Kinlock. Commissioner Anderson, then Commissioner Marecki.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to, I've got a few questions since the question of the tethers were brought up. Just wanted to ask about, I know the Detroit Police Chief has mentioned that many of those on tethers are being arrested for serious, on the street for serious crimes. What are we doing to address that? Are there any steps being taken in conjunction or meetings that are taking place with Detroit Police Chief as far as the tether program to see how to address that and maybe either screen much more in a much more, I guess, restrictive way who's going on tethers because he was on the news just recently. I think it might have been over the weekend when there was multiple shootings, large number of shootings, not just one victim, but multiple victims. And he said they're finding tethers on a lot of them. And just wanted to ask you about that.
Yeah, so there's conversations that, and I'll let Chief Dunlap or Chief Gotti speak to it in detail, but we always want to let people know that we're not the ones from the sheriff's office who are putting people on tether. I think when he says that, he speaks to the prosecutors and the judges, not us who have to watch over them once they've been put on tether, once they've been ordered on tether, once the conditions they've ordered conditions of their tether, what they can and can't do while they're on tether. He's speaking to the judges and the prosecutors. And we have had conversations with judges and prosecutors concerning who they're putting on tether and how many people they're putting on tether. You know, it's a double-edged sword, really, if they're non-assaultive people when they're putting them on tether. And, you know, we kind of welcome that because it is a taxpayer's savings and we are able to get it done. But when they're putting assaultive people on tether, and these people who are accused of major crimes, yeah, we've had conversations, I'm sure. And again, that's a judge and prosecutor situation, not ours. We're just there to watch them. But Chief Dunlap, you can speak further to that as well.
Thank you, Sheriff. Through the chair, I just want to reiterate what the sheriff just said. We do not order a person to go on tether. Only the courts do that. And once the courts determine that a person is to go on tether and everything lines up with the address where they're supposed to be tethered to, we don't have the authority to tell a judge that that inmate can't be on that tether. And so to take it a step further, as the sheriff indicated, we've had a lot of conversation with Detroit. In fact, recently spoke with the chief, the deputy mayor, and we advised them of this information. One of the concerns has been inmates on tether without a curfew. In the jail, we require lockdown 10 o'clock at night for everyone. And so their concern was some of these individuals out on the street, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the morning. And again, that is a decision for the court, is the part of the court order. And so we did put them in touch with the presiding chief criminal court, Judge Kinney. And I believe they're kind of working with Judge Kinney to see, you know, what can be done to address that issue. In addition to that, Sheriff Washington has also opened up our agency to extend whatever help and resources that we can to provide to Detroit with regards to this issue, to the tune of we share information with them on a daily basis about who's in jail, who's being released, so that, you know, hopefully that can help them track some of these individuals that's involved. But I just want to be very clear that we just monitor and manage after court orders. And so that is an issue for the courts with regards to who goes on tether and not so much for the sheriff. Chief Gotti might want to add something.
Gotti, do you want to add to that? This one.
My button's not working.
It's working.
It's hold it. Hold it and just hold it.
Okay.
There you go.
Thank you through the chair. Yeah, just to clarify, tether, a tether participant comes to us as a condition of bond. The court sets that condition like any other condition. We're simply complying with that, the same as if the amount that a judge would set for bond for the sheriff to take and keep until they could pay a certain amount of bond, and then we would process them. So the judge, determines the conditions of bond, including tether or any other matters within the judge's discretion. So it's really not within our authority to change that. But I will say our tether unit is making arrests every day for violations of these conditions. They bring these individuals back before the judges, provide the report, provide the information. And again, then it's up to the judge to decide whether they want to remand them to the jail or put them back out on bond. So we're simply the arm, the enforcement arm, and the management arm of that program, but the discretion lies with the court as to who is eligible for that, for the tether conditions. Thank you.
So just so I'm clear, the tether program is not exclusive, is it, to the sheriff's department? That does the city of Detroit, does their police department put tethers on them, or do we do all the tethers for all of Wayne County?
Through the chair, we do the tethers for inmates who have charges in Wayne County. And so to my knowledge, the Detroit Police Department doesn't have a tether program. The state of Michigan does have a tether program, but the issue, as we stated, the circuit court, the district court judges, they are the ones deciding who goes on tether.
Thank you. I've got a few more questions. The recruiting fairs, I know we've had very limited success, and as I think police departments and sheriff's departments across the state and country have. Where have we had those recently? And how recent have we had the recruiting fairs, and where they take place? Are they moving around?
So we're attending recruiting fairs probably 3 times a week with our recruiters. We haven't put on any ourselves in a few, because there's a lot of agencies who are out inviting us to their recruiting fairs. And so we're always looking for that. We're going to continue to even have our own recruiting fairs. And I think recruiting fairs work, but I think we and my recruiters just told me over the week, as I was leaving out the door to come here, actually, that we need to talk, because they have some other ideas on how we best get people into our agency. So I'm really looking forward to that. So we're out, and what we did, which really works and get people interested and attached to our agency in a faster, quicker manner, is we're using these QR codes now, and they're attached to everything that we have, our pamphlets, recruiting pamphlets, our vehicles, our buildings, wherever. You just simply take your phone and scan that QR code, and a 2-page application comes up, and you fill it out on your phone, and you push it to go, and it comes right down here to this building, to our to the human resources right here in this building. And you start your career in law enforcement, and that's getting a lot of attention. It's doing what we needed to do. All you need is a high school diploma or GED certificate to be to start your career in our agency. But then the application, before we got into the position here, was a 12-page application, and that just didn't make sense, especially when you're out on a recruiting fair. Trying to get people to sit down and fill out a 12-page application didn't make sense at all. And so our recruiters came up with, one of our recruiters came up with the QR code, that we did learn that through the pandemic, that, you were doing things a different way. You go to restaurants, whatever, you're still using QR codes, and you get you don't have to jump through a whole lot of hoops to get people into your agency, and that's working. Obviously, the people go by and they fill it out, and then they don't necessarily meet the qualifications, because you're not really talking to somebody at that point. You're just filling out, you're doing the QR code. But we've getting a lot of traction out of that, and we're happy about it. So, we're getting the people into our agency. It just looks like now it's about how do we keep those who are ready to go? So.
Thank you. Because I know there's a lot of training facilities around for law enforcement. I think if I'm not mistaken, Madonna University has a program, Schoolcraft does.
Yes.
And I'm sure there's probably a dozen more or half a dozen at least. So just hoping that we're taking advantage of all those to reach out. And are there any plans to make any additional improvements to the Henry Ruff station?
So we're in the process of looking through the county, looking for a building. I don't know that there's any plans. I don't think there's any plans to improve that. I think they've gotten as much you can get out of that building as we can. And we have been looking around through the help of the county to find another facility. So we're still in the works in that, but I don't think there's any plan to improve that.
Sorry. Is that going to be in the same general location?
Yeah, it'll be in the county. It'll be in the area. It's going to be, we're very interested to make sure that we keep it in the Western Wayne kind of area, somewhere around there so that people won't have to come downtown. Detroit County is a big county. I found that out. It's a huge county. And we want to make sure that we're putting it in a place where those that are possibly on the west side of the county, they won't have to come downtown.
If, I would hope we would try to keep it Westland Inkster area because it's, I think the county has been very helpful, the sheriff's department with law enforcement in Inkster.
Yeah, we have looked in those areas. Well, the county has directed us to those areas and we looked at buildings together. I think we've lost out on a couple that we were really, really excited about due to, I guess, other people beating us to the punch on it.
The number of FTEs currently in the department, how many are the current number of FTEs?
Current FTEs, and I was looking for that.
And does that include I'm asking FTEs, all employees of the sheriff's department, or is it only law enforcement officers?
Through the chair, this is Sumaya Harp. The 1,065 FTEs are civilians and police officers, deputy chiefs and chiefs, and a sheriff, under sheriff. Everybody.
That's all
Everybody.
together.
All together.
That's everyone. 1,065.
65.
I'm wondering how the difficulty that we've had filling positions, how we're expect to get that many of employees, what's going to be different that's going to lead us to being able to recruit the additional positions that the executive's office is recommending. I mean, I'm all for getting the people that we need, but I know that's the recommendation, 1,065. And I don't know if someone has anything they want to add to that, how difficult that's going to be able to fill that number of positions.
Thank the commissioner. Did you have something you want to say before we said that?
Thank you. I was just going to say that what Mr. Abel said about the $2,000, maybe we can agree upon that to help him over there to help recruiting.
And I was going to, that has helped, that we're close. And again, as I said earlier, people look at optics and they look at money and I would be outside of depending on what you want to do in law enforcement, if you want to be on the custody side or the enforcement side. But if you want to be on the custody side, which is what we do, and the amount of money was the exact same, I think we get a lot more people, period. I mean, that's what they look for.
My last question is, are there any things that other counties are doing differently as far as basically, and I realize it is a challenge to retain deputies when they're essentially doing a jailer's job. It's a very important position to have, certainly, but if someone sees they have an opportunity in another county to be out on the road or some other duty rather than being in the jail, that is very enticing and makes it very difficult for us to maintain the force that we need. So are there any things that Macomb and Oakland and others are doing to give those, are they hiring jailers rather than full-blown deputies?
They hire jailers, and then jailers are moved to the roads. I think the biggest advantage, Macomb and Washington and Oakland and all of those have, is that they patrol a portion of their county, a large portion of their county. Wayne County, we don't answer calls for service for any of the 43 communities and cities because they all have a police department. So therein lies the difference. If we patrol some cities or cities in Wayne County, and we're not asking for that at all. I don't want people to think we're trying to take over anybody's police department. The fact of the matter is, in Wayne County, whether it's a 3-member department or a 3,000-member department, every city and township has a police department. That puts us at a disadvantage, so to speak, for those that want to work patrol and out in the street. That definitely puts us at a disadvantage. But we play the hand we're dealt, and that's the way that goes. I was in the sheriff's office. I started here in 1983 for 2 years while I was waiting for the Detroit Police Department to call me. And they did in 85. I was a young guy then. I wanted to be in the street. I wanted to be the police in the street. And that's when I left. Detroit had the advantage for my mindset and what I wanted to do in law enforcement. Till I got older and said, I want to go inside now. You know what I'm saying? But that happens. And so, yeah, if we did have, if we were patrolling some of Wayne County, I'm sure we'd be easy to get more people in. But that's not what we do. Our mandated responsibilities are what I read.
Mr. Sheriff, I just want to say that's when I met you in 85.
That's right. That's right.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner
Mr. Chair.
Anderson, Commissioner Marecki, and then Commissioner Baker McCormick.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and congratulations,
Thank you,
Sheriff.
Commissioner. Thank you so much.
Glad to be your commissioner.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Most of the questions have been asked that I had written down, but I just want to make one comment about the FMLA, how every year I'm amazed about the numbers. When Benny used to come in and tell us, I did not realize that you could actually use that as an excuse to not do a certain duty. I think that thing's really expanded through the years. But I just have a couple questions. To the tethers, I read somewhere that you actually have tether case managers instead of sheriffs.
Yes.
How does that work? Do they have are they armed?
All the case managers?
Yeah.
So I'll let Chief Gotti speak to that on how that works. So you refer Chief Dunlap. Because I can answer it, but they can answer it in detail.
So you're right. We do have tether case managers. We have officers that go out and do enforcement that are armed, and we have project consultants as case managers. However, what we've discovered, as the sheriff shared earlier, our tether population has more than doubled since that contract. And so we have had to add armed deputies and some non-armed deputies to help with the case management. Our caseload should be anywhere from 45 or 60 to 1. And our staff now is managing a caseload upwards of 90 to 1. Chief Gotti was recently the deputy chief over the tether department, so he can probably give you some more intricate detail about how that operates.
So the difference between the case managers and the deputies are the case managers are civilians that are used in the office. They are not going out on the street to interact with the tether participants or manage problems or change out equipment or do any of those things. They are mainly involved in the enrollment process, which is when a bond order comes over from the court and tether is a condition of bond, whether if it's a personal bond, it would be right away. If it's a bond plus tether, it would be whenever they pay the bond. the enrollment process begins. So there are a number of things that have to be done: address verification, running of other information, contact information, agreements, installation of the tether itself before that participant goes out the door. We use the project managers for that. In a perfect world, we would be able to use more of them to handle more of the administrative and, have the deputies simply handle the enforcement role. But the deputies, because of the numbers that we're dealing with and because of the staffing situation that we're dealing with, the deputies are participating in all aspects of that because of the amount of referrals we receive on a daily basis. When someone is arraigned on bond and the bond is set, they come over to us. There are not enough project managers to handle the enrollment, much less anything else. So the deputies are involved in all aspects from enrollment through enforcement.
Okay, and the increase in the tethers was because of COVID, right? A huge increase. So you're not seeing that lightening up, even though COVID is moving on. It's still happening at large amounts, just like COVID times.
So certainly that's went through the chair, I'm sorry. We saw the explosion with the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic. When in the initial phases of the pandemic, the chief criminal court judge and the prosecutor and defense attorneys would actually meet with us twice a week and look at who's in the jail, and anyone that had, say, a very acute illness that had a low-level charge, they tried to make sure that they, get them out of jail into treatment. And what we saw on the backside of that, as judges would formally remand someone to the jail, they were placing bond with tether. And so our population grew as high as 1,795, I think was the highest, which prior to the COVID pandemic, our average tether population would run anywhere from 750, 780 at the highest. We do believe today it is at, I believe, 1456 is the count today. And it's been holding pretty steady in the 1400s over, I would guess and say, the past 6 or 7 months. And we do believe that when we go back to, say, a normal court operation, our population will probably still remain in, say, the range of 1,200. And that's just a guesstimate. I'm not an economist. And so certainly there's a lot of factors that impact that, which is driven mostly by the court. But we don't, from the practices or patterns and behavior of the court lately, we do believe that there is a greater tolerance for putting people on community supervision via tether, as opposed to just remanding them to the jail. Now, mind you, I think the other side of that is there is a cost benefit to it, to us as a county, because the $40 million that the former Sheriff Napoleon often talked about, you can multiply that times 2 or 3 in terms of savings.
Thank you. And I just have one last question. I know we're going to be having an update on the new jail in a committee of the whole soon, but have you guys crunched all the numbers? Do you know how many sheriffs you're going to need when you move into the facility? Is that going to help with all the vacancies we have? You're projecting that at this point?
But we are projecting those, and I'm getting numbers all the time, but that number is fluid based on different things that we need, that we're determining that we need and that we don't need. It is my hope that we're going to have enough going in. I think we will, but my staff, they've got the numbers really crunched. And so if you can speak to that, Chief, again, I know what the whole cake's supposed to taste like. I don't know all the ingredients of it. They do that.
Well, as
So-
you said, Sheriff, through the chair, it is a fluid process right now, because certainly we won't be able to really finalize our numbers until the jail is actually finally complete, because the operation workflow impacts, our staffing needs. But we do know this, that, our current numbers do not have a shift relief factor built in. And so on day one, when the new jail opened, we are still going to be short, but not as short as we currently are. And so we are running several different scenarios. It's a 2,280 bed facility. We're hoping and praying that we never have 2,280. And so if the trend continues as it is now, we believe our population probably won't get higher than 1,700. And so we're running scenarios based on a population of 1,700, 1,400, and 1,200. And again, the numbers, as the sheriff indicated, are very fluid. I can't give you a definitive number in terms of the shortages, but we do not believe that the shortage will be anywhere as significant as it is now with almost 400 vacancies.
Right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Mr. Commissioner, if I
Maracki.
could, this is Mark Abel, if I could respond to that, there was to give you a little bit of flavor on that, there was a study done, I believe, back in 2015 that talked about a new jail, and Chief Dunlap is exactly right. The expectation with the new jail, even at that time, was not that it would reduce the head count, but it would reduce the number of vacant positions that we need to have filled. But there's also great efficiency expected because of the fact that we're operating 3 jails now versus 1 ultimately, and the fact that our oldest jail is 100 years old. And I know that we spend millions of dollars a year, or used to at least, on maintenance that will no longer be necessary, at least for a long while, soon after we occupy the new jail. So my understanding is that there are no efficiencies associated with this budget. Correct me if I'm wrong, Chief, with this budget for the new jail. But I'm hoping that within the coming years, we will see some actual efficiencies.
Thank you. Commissioner Baker McCormick.
Mr. Chair, and congratulations to you
Thank you,
again,
Commissioner.
Chair. So as we move towards zero bond and zero bonding, and I know you said you don't have anything to do with that, but is that a cause for more tethers when they don't have bond, they automatically get a tether?
No, they won't automatically get a tether. Some will be released without a tether. Just depends on what how the judge feels that they can best serve that person without being locked into our jail, but whether they can be out returning without a tether or just out on bond with a condition that they.
So it
return.
doesn't
So
impact.
It doesn't, no, not necessarily.
And then, I have the War on Trash initiative in Northwest Detroit.
Yes.
And so that's really concerning to me. And you used to have some of the inmates go out and help with cleanup.
Yes.
And so when you talked about the Scout program, it made me think about maybe going back to that. I don't know if I know it was a staffing issue or.
Yeah, and I think that program was ran by the county. I think that wasn't run by the sheriff's office.
Okay.
And so, Director Harb, you want to speak to that?
Yeah, the county had an alternative workforce department division that took care of that. And I think it's been 5-6 years since they disassembled.
Okay,
that
but it wasn't
division.
through the sheriff's.
No, it's
No.
not through the
Okay.
sheriff.
No.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. All right, and then the last question is to the phone pay earnings
Mhm.
that you get and the cost to make a call. I know we have had a new contract. And was the cost reduced with that new contract? And what do you do with the funds that you get from that?
Through the chair, I can speak to the funds that what we do with the funds that we received. We pay for the residential treatment contracts. For the inmates, we pay for the compliance.
Before you go on, so the residential treatment, is that where the $50 per day at the
Yes,
4
ma'am.
locations?
Yes, Commissioner.
Okay, great.
Yes, and we pay for the compliance individuals. We pay for the PREA director that we're mandated to have. I have to go back and look at the amendment, the latest amendment for that contract to see, as I remember it, the cost did decrease, but let me look at it just to be more specific and I can tell you exactly when I get back to the office, how much it was decreased by. I just don't
Okay,
want to
but
speak right now.
So do you know what amount how much it costs now per?
Not
unit?
off the top of my head, but I promise I'll get you that information.
Okay. Oh, I thought it was the last question, but this is the last question. So do we have a gun range that the sheriff department use?
Yes, we do. It's over at Henry Ruff Road.
Okay, because that's what I would like more information on afterwards. If you have the information, if I could use the gun, I
Oh,
was
yeah,
told that I
sure.
could. Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
sure. We can talk about that. Sure.
Thank you, Commissioner. Before we wrap up, Mark, do you have any final thoughts, any final words?
No, Mr. Chairman, I just want to say thank you to the sheriff and his staff.
Thank you.
Sheriff Washington, I want to thank you again for the presentation and to all your staff. And I would be remiss if I didn't recognize and thank all the members of the reserve unit within the Sheriff Department for all the hard work they do throughout the communities in Wayne County.
Yes, thank you. And they do a wonderful job. We don't want them to replace our full-time officers. We still want full-time officers, but we definitely appreciate their help.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. Madam Clerk, next item.
Next item, item E, such other matters as may be properly submitted before the committee.
There are none. Next item.
Item F, public comments.
Okay, is there anybody here from the public that would like to make a comment? Anyone here from the public that would like to make a comment? Do we have anybody on Zoom that would like to make a comment? Octavia, anyone on Zoom?
No.
Okay. Next item,
Adjournment.
we have a support. Meeting adjourned. Oh, we do have a public comment? Okay, we'll take that back. I guess we have a public comment.
Just want to, can I ask I'm sorry. Your
Please,
Honor.
can you state your
apologize.
name
Thank you.
and,
Yes, I'm the attorney in fact for the estate, Paul Michael Elliott Estate. Okay, I just have a question as far as the constitutionality of a statutory violation. Do you need Article 3 standing requirement in order to enforce a statutory violation?
I really can't answer that question. I'm not an attorney, and I don't know if we can engage back and forth in public comments.
Okay, well, let me just say, Article 3, injury in fact, standing is required even in the context of a statutory violation. An injury in fact is not an injury in law. An injury in fact is one that is clear, particularized, real and immediate, not hypothetical or conjectural. An injury in law is a statutory violation. In the context of a statutory violation, there needs to be an injured party. There needs to be somebody to step up and say, my private rights were violated. This person hurt me, this person attempted to hurt me or threatened to hurt me. Now, if that doesn't happen, then when two corporate people, right, under color of law, decide to be a witness and an attorney, they represent the same company without an injury in fact. And this is causing injury to me, in fact, okay? Because I've been charged with an injury in law with no injury in fact. And if statutes are gonna be construed with criminal intent, right? Then they can't be so criminally intent or suggestive assumptive that a person in his natural rights is going to harm somebody without this person willingly admitting to committing that type of harm. Now, in the context of somebody using their First Amendment rights of free expression, anything that's said peaceful and that's not a threat to the public safety or somebody else, somebody's private rights can be said, cannot be held against you in the court of law as standing. For example, when you admit to something that's codified, you admit to a statutory violation. However, you don't admit to an injury in fact. There is no standing. And I just want that to be on the record here today because I've suffered a great suffering. And I told the nice lady that I was talking to that I would come back on Wednesday. And I apologize. I feel compelled because I came all the way out here from out of state. I've spent a lot of money and I've been trying to contact people as far as my injury. Nobody has been replying to me. So I would like to leave my information that way. Somebody may be able to stay in contact with me about constitutionality of statutory violations here in the county of Wayne or the state of Michigan in
Thank you.
general.
The time is up. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you, sir.
This meeting is adjourned.